Hello, hello. Greetings, everyone. Greetings. This is Increase, where it is my task to increase, illustrate, and inundate you with information, knowledge, and overall help you to think. I am your host, Alpheus Gibbs Sr., and I'm just here to make you think. Today, we have an awesome topic that I want to talk about, and I just want to share with many of you um that particular topic. But before I even get to that, um I'm just glad to see everyone here. I'm just glad to know that um you guys are willing to take up so much of your precious time to be with me, just to spend your lunch break, or even just to say, hey, I'm only here for a short little time. I just want to hear what you're talking about. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for doing that, because you certainly could be doing so much other stuff, but you chose to hang out with me. You chose to, um, spend however long time we have together, just to say, hey, at least I supported you. And I appreciate that. As always, this is February, so because it's February, we try to highlight a Black history figure in America that did something that we oftentimes may not have ever heard of or maybe even seen. And so, the person that I want to highlight today is Clarence M. Pendleton Jr. I'm so glad to see some of my family on. Um, he's an African American who chaired the United States Civil Rights Commission. He led the commission toward a colorblind approach to matters of civil rights. Pendleton was born in Louisville, Kentucky, but grew up in Washington, D.C. He was educated at Howard University, and after a stint in the U.S. Army, he taught physical education at that school. He held positions with the National Recreation and Parks Association, and afterward, he moved to San Diego, California, where he was the director of the local model cities program. By 1975, he had been named head of the San Diego Urban League. He also supported California Governor Ronald Reagan in his bid for presidency. And that is our African American highlight for today. So listen, it's Friday. Um, and so I kind of want to take a thought from like this morning. I got a chance to watch my kids get on the bus, and you may say that, well, that's not much of anything. Kids get on the bus all the time. But what I really began to take notice of is not so much as them getting on the bus, more so it was the moment, being in that moment, right? It was really about just showing up, not only for the kids, but showing up for myself in that moment. And I want to, just put it out there. How often do you show up for you? Is basically what it is. How often do you show up for you? Even when you show up for other people, partially part of you showing up for them is you also showing up for you. It's a sign of your integrity and your character. It's a sign of you taking notice of someone else being important just as much as you would view yourself. I try to pride myself on being a person that is respective of people's time. I'm not always 100% at it, but I strive to be that person where I'm not wasting your time. And I think, especially in today's society, we have so much that distracts us, delays us from showing up, that we become disrespectful of not only other people's time, but even our own time. We can show up to things that we deem important, but things that we don't deem as important, we find ourselves like not fully being there. And I think that if we began to truly just show up, be authentically there, wherever that may be, no matter who is around or whatever, but just show up. I think that we would have more meaningful relationships. And I think, and that's something that we all try to strive to have and to pursue after, is having a meaningful relationship, not just in our dating or in our marriage, but even in our friendships, even in corporate friendships, in those relationships. We want them to be meaningful, or as meaningful as possible. And then also, with that same meaningfulness, how impactful is um our presence being there? In other words, just because you're there doesn't mean that you're bringing value to being there. Like, sometimes I think a lot of times, hey, I'm so glad you're on. It's almost like people feel like because their popularity among a small circle is whatever, that all they have to do is show up and everybody else is going to pile in. And that's not always true. Like, you really need to be a participant in the relationship. Be that person who is not just present but is active. Like, we have so many dead relationships, not only just in friendships, not only in association, but just dead relationships. People you don't interact with, even when you're in their presence, you don't even interact with them. So then, can you fully say that you're even in a relationship with these people if you don't even talk to them? If when you're in their presence, the only thing you say is hello. Like, can I fully say that I'm cordial? I just spoke. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not even on something like I have a beef or a problem with people. It's just simply, how present am I? Like, it's funny to go to a place and be around people, and there are individuals who you will observe who never move. Like, they don't talk to anybody, they don't interact, they don't dance, they don't do anything. And that's a lot of times even how some of our relationships are. They're just dead. Like, nobody talks, nobody moves. Very little to no interaction. It's so dead. And then you look up and you go, well, nobody talked to me, or nobody talked to them, or whatever. And you're like, but did you show up? Like, I was there. I saw them have this on. Saw them have that on, or they did this, or people did that. But it's like, but did you show up for you? Like, you want people to be your friend, but did you show up as a friend, or did you show up as whatever? Like, you were just a fly on the wall. You were just a body. So how can you get anything meaningful out of it if you didn't even put anything meaningful into it? I believe that as we all mature, as well as we all look at social media gives us the ability to um present ourselves to be anything to anybody, right? You can post anything and people will think you're the funniest person on earth, but you really are like very introverted, very, you don't laugh at all, but you just post it because it seems to be a popular meme or whatever. But I think that if we want to really get the most out of life, you really want to get the most out of you and what you are called to do and to be, I think we need to begin to look at how we show up even for ourselves. People always, I've heard this say all the time that um you want people to love you a certain way, or you're waiting for people to treat you a certain way. But are people observing you treating you that way? Right? Like, if people, my wife is, she's always on me about, my dress and things of that nature, because she wants to make sure that I'm presenting my best self in whatever situation that I'm in. And so you begin to ask the question, is like, okay, do you love you enough, like you say you love you? Or are you just doing just enough wherein you won't get arrested for being, looking crazy or whatever? I think that's a question that we really need to ask ourselves when it comes to the relationships that we have. Girl, hush, leave me alone. You gotta my wife is commenting in the comment section. You really got to start asking yourself that question, like, am I showing up for me, that when people look at me, they see that I'm treating myself the way that I want them to treat me? Because the way you talk to yourself, the way you treat yourself, you begin to project that on others. So if you see yourself as less than, then you'll begin to project that on other people. If you're dismissive of yourself, then you'll also be dismissive to other people. The way you love on you is the same way you also love on other people. And you may not do it in a grand or big magnitude or whatever, but when you take some snapshots of your day to day, you'll begin to and break it down. You'll begin to see how you treat people is how you also treat yourself. And so if I'm not showing up for me, then how can I show up for somebody else? Right? Like, hey, what's going on, George? Like, you can show up as in you dressing nice, or you may smell good or whatever, but you're highly stressed out. Like, you don't think highly of yourself or even of yourself enough to confidently do a simple task, or you look at yourself as a person who should remain on the back burner. And so when you look at others who are confident in doing whatever, you think that they're doing too much, or you think they're being extra or whatever. Or you may look at other people as being extra, but then you don't look at yourself as in aspects of your life where you're super extra. And it's not even an extra as in the way you dress or the way you act on a just simple situation, but it could be in how you talk about your story about your past, or it may be the way that you highlight certain things pertaining to a particular trigger that you deal with. Like, we have to really begin to ask ourselves several questions about how we show up for ourselves, how we view ourselves is also being projected onto other people. So if I can govern how I deal with people, then I possibly have conquered some areas, some real areas in my own personal life that would actually be a benefit. So I think in essence, like, roll with me for a second. In essence, if you um begin to do some self-discovery, right? You start doing some self-discovery, you'll begin to also understand the people around you, and really looking at things from a more abstract way. When I show up for me, right? When I show up for me, you show up for you. You begin to look for authentic people like yourself. You begin to walk around and you go, okay, you know what? Because I am who I am and how I am, I'm looking for other solid people like that, because you begin to attract who you are. You find yourself always around trashy people. There's areas in your life that you need to begin to clean up because they're attracted to it. It's an age old saying, but it's true. Birds of a feather flock together. And so when you find yourself in places wherein you're like, I'm always around these kind of people, you got to start asking yourself, what is that in me that these things keep happening? Why am I always around these caliber of individuals? That is an indicator that is areas in my life. And here's the thing, we got to be really honest with ourselves. I mean, the same way you're brutally honest with other people about their situations and how they think and how they act and talk and whatever else, and so on and so forth, you got to be the same way even about yourself. Are you as critical of yourself as you are about other people? Because when you start doing that, then you'll begin to weed out, you'll begin to dig through your own plant soil, so to speak, to discover your own roots. You'll start looking at it and begin to see yourself and go, wow, okay, I didn't know I did that. Oh, wow, they brought something to my attention. I don't want to agree with it. I don't want to accept it, but this is what it is. This is who I am right now. I need to start doing something to make a difference. I need to do something because I'm tired of dealing with or attracting the same kind of thing. It's kind of like the law of attraction, which states that in so many words, it's like what you think about all the time, what you set your heart to, those are the things that you begin to attract. Who you are, you begin to attract those things, and so a lot of times we miss great opportunities that are presented before us because we are not ready to receive everything. Hey, I'm so glad you're on. It's like that. It's that what who I am in my core and what I think about and what I work on, I begin to change what I begin to attract towards me. And so when you begin to work on those things, you know what I mean? Like think about it, for instance, even when it comes to education, the more you begin to seek after those things, the more you start finding out other people are in college or in school or whatever, or trying to better themselves. And all of a sudden you've created or you've found yourself in a community of people who are on a path of educational excellence. And then all of a sudden now, wherein you thought it was just you, it's other people who are having to write papers, and they're also reading several books a day or whatever, so that they can um achieve the goal that they're trying to achieve. People who are who are single mothers or whatever, or single parents or whatever, they find themselves always around people who are single parents and so on and so forth. So you really got to begin to ask yourself and begin to look at, okay, now that I see what's going on in my life, now I'm understanding what I'm attracting. Now I need to start making some adjustments. Or maybe I'm in a good place and stay where I am. And how can I, better where I am but still remain the same? I think it was a Kobe Bryant and LeBron James commercial, and he says, "Are you ready?" He kept asking him, "Are you ready?" And LeBron James said, "Yes, he's ready. He's ready." And then Kobe Bryant asked LeBron, and he goes, "Are you ready to be um, the same animal but a different beast?" And so many in the comment section of that, they didn't even understand it. They were like, what? How can you be the same animal but a different beast? It's because I began to show up for me. I began to say, you know what? I want better. I want to eat better so that my body can be healthy and I can move a lot more, or whatever. Or, I want to have, these caliber of friends, or, I want my family to be in a better place. And so you begin to strive for those things. And the way that you strive for those things is you begin to show up for yourself. You begin to remove those things that are hindrances. You're the same person, but your hunger for what you want has changed. So you're the same animal, but you're a different beast. And so I think as we begin to show up for ourselves, because this is a moment in your life, those of you who are watching me or even going to listen to this later, you're going to be the same person. You're going to be who you are. But if your hunger doesn't get better, get stronger, get aggressive, right? Have that passion, then you're not going to achieve the things that you want. And if you want to achieve greatness in life, you're going to have to get obsessed with the things that surround what it is that you want. C.T. Fletcher has a documentary on YouTube called My Guilty Obsession. And it's about him, as a kid, living in Los Angeles or what have you, but also him growing up and being a man, being a parent. But his guilty obsession was weightlifting. And he was at a place and mentally where every morning he was at the gym, at night he was at the gym. That he surrounded himself with people who were just as obsessed as he was. And so you may not want to achieve that much. You may just want to live a regular life, and that's cool. No judgments here. But for those of you who want that next level, you're going to have to get obsessed. You're going to have to get laser focused. I'm talking to myself included. You're going to have to get to that place where you get what is called tunnel vision. Lance Armstrong talks about it in his book about the Tour de France. Michael Phelps talks about it when he in his book about him swimming. Different athletes write about it. They talk about it. Different ones who were in the military. Those there's a book. Shako, he's an ex-Navy SEAL, and he wrote about having that. He's like, you got to get to the place where your mind is controlling your body, and when your body says I can't, your mind says we have to go, we have to do it. You have trained your mind to say, not only am I going to show up, but I'm going to give it 110%, 150%. You're not going to stop until you drop, until you cannot move. We're going to get to this goal. And that's that obsession. That's that tunnel vision. Well, when everybody else is saying, let's go on vacation, you're like, no, I got a goal to meet. And you begin to get so obsessed. Watch this. It's not the goal that you're obsessed with. It's the process, because the person that you become has now changed from the couch potato, the one who was giving excuses, the one who always saw a way or a means of doing something else instead of doing what you wanted to do. The person who just, it's almost like a horse that's running a race and they have the blinders on. You don't see anybody around you. You don't see anything. That's right. Dedication, determination. You got to be addicted to it. It is the one thing where people call you or they talk to you. That's the one thing you're talking about. If you've ever dealt with any kind of coach, whether it's a financial coach, business coach, preaching coach, whatever, even those of you who are in the medical field or whatever, when you're around those people who are high achievers, that's all they talk about is the field that they're in. It's like they wake up, they go to sleep, that's it. That's right. You got to have a drive. I mean, seriously, you are in the zone. It's almost as if that's all you know is just that. Because as you are doing those things, the more you begin to find out more information, quicker ways, you begin to automate certain parts of the process. You begin to look at yourself and turn around, get a swift glimpse of where you've been and where you've come from, and you're so grateful, but you're like, I got to keep going. And before long, you look up and not only have you achieved your goal, but you've beaten your goal several times over, and then you're now at that place where you didn't really miss much. Okay, you missed, a few television shows. Well, you've already mastered in the past how to binge watch TV series, and there's not that many movies that's original now. So maybe you don't know who the latest actor on or actress on the scene. Okay. You missed maybe a couple of parties. But then did you really miss it? Because a lot of the people that you would have been hanging around are the ones that's calling you for a job, or they're going through whatever that they kind of put themselves in, if not by direct choice, by making several bad decisions. You may have missed a few things here or there, But sometimes we miss those, and we never even achieved our own goal. We didn't show up for ourselves. You don't want to be in your 50s, 60s, or 70s, and you look back and your regret is that I didn't do what I know I should have done. It's nothing like being around people who are so that were so gifted and talented and all of that, and then didn't achieve any of it. They're so smart in areas in their life, or throughout their life, and you're like, well, why you didn't pursue after that? Like, I rather partied, and I went to Cabo, or I was in Miami, and you're like, okay, you have a memory, but how's that helping now? Like, you sound so depressed and sad. Like, even though you're talking about all the wonderful parties or whatever, or events that you went to, but you sound so sad telling it. It's because it was something that could have been missed while you were working on, as someone wrote in the comment section, self-betterment. You got to get to that place wherein the distraction becomes nothing more than a wind that is passing your ears as you sprint toward your goals, as you sprint toward your desires and what you ultimately want to achieve. I hope I'm bringing some value to you. I just want to give you a little increase over the weekend, that just because today is Friday, tomorrow is Saturday, that the weekend now can be just kick back and push, but that you can even still work on your goals and dreams even on the weekend. And if you really, burn the midnight oil, if you really, begin to write out not only your vision board, but but begin to write out a plan and begin to set little small micro goals to reach, to ultimately achieve what's on your vision board, that you could have everything on your vision board before June, if you really buckle down, if you really cut out the distractions, if you really, just focus on what it is that you want to do. Someone wrote, you got to be consistent, and you got to have that consistent drive. You got to continuously show up for you, the same vigor and the same tenacity that you have toward those who lie on you or may make you feel some kind of way, or the same way you get an attitude or you get aggressive about how people will mistreat you. You got to begin to look at yourself and go, how am I mistreating myself? Oh, I'm mistreating myself because I'm not even trying. Like, I'm allowing the voice and the conversation of people who are unachieved, ungold, un everything, to now begin to speak on somebody and something that they have no clue or understanding of. They don't know you. They know you, but they don't know you. They don't know the God that is within you, that is telling you that I have more in store for you. They don't know the you that see yourself living in the best, driving the best, going first class in life. They don't see the loving you that want to give back to the community, the you that want to, in some way, shape, form, or fashion, end homelessness, even if it's just in your own county or neighborhood. The you that want to help in childhood hunger or child hunger, or the you that want to make sure that battered men and women are protected, the you that want to make sure that children that are in group homes and stuff are protected and taken care of, and that even though that they are there for shelter and everything, that they themselves are still receiving the same level of education, nutritious foods, that they know that they are loved and appreciated, that they are not forgotten or forsaken, that they themselves, even though they may not know who their biological family is, but they may know that someone loves them, and that and when they get older, that they won't have to try to seek for love, because you did the work now so that you could help try to save a life later. And so it's really it really boils down to showing up for you, valuing your own time, valuing what you bring to the table, valuing who you are as an individual, valuing the things that you have, valuing the things that you want to achieve, valuing the things that you want to do, valuing who you are as an individual, 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 as a gift to this world, as a talent to this world, getting to those next levels, not minimizing the work that you are doing, but also understanding there's another level to it that you want to reach, that you got to reach. It's the, okay, I'm doing this. How many other people am I teaching on this level? You know, we ear hustle, we listen to everybody's conversation about stuff, and we get the tea on everything that's happening. You know about who did what with where and what time and all of this, but are we listening to hear those cries of those that are struggling, that are working two jobs trying to make ends meet, but you know, a way that can help mitigate and help bring in not extra revenue, but to delete debt, or to bring them to a place mentally, help bring them to a place mentally where they can begin to achieve more. One of the things that is so funny is that we're like, well, they're not going to take my advice, so I just leave it alone. And I'm guilty of that myself. But then I also have to think about, well, wait a minute. If I just keep repeating myself or repeating some things, eventually it'll catch on. Eventually, when they think of me, they're going to think of what I said. And then they're going to begin to react to what I said in a positive way, or they're going to fall off the wagon and go and do their own thing. But at least I gave them another option. You know, that is the ultimate goal. When you show up for you, not only do you give yourself options, you give other people options. You give them the comfort and the peace of mind knowing that you, when you're there, that you're not just a body. I think a lot of times our churches, our houses, businesses, jobs are so filled with bodies, but they're not filled with people who are present. They're not in the moment. They're not there to contribute. It's like, we're going to let them handle it. We're going to let them do all of this. You know, they don't need me. No, we need everybody. We need all, and we don't just need your opinion. We also need your work. We also need your talent, your gift, your witty idea. We need your love and compassion. We need your eye for detail. We need it. And sometimes when you hear it, it rubs people the wrong way because they feel like what they're doing is good enough. But then you got to get comfortable with being around other gifted people, other talented people. And so if musicians can do it, if writers can do it, everybody can. It's not hard. It is now adjusting your focus and your attitude. You got to show up for you. You got to show up and be present and be in the moment. Like I started out saying, I was just watching my kids and my niece as they were waiting to get on the bus, and they're laughing. They're putting their feet in the snow. And, you know, I could have been like, hey, get your feet out the snow. You don't have on snow boots and you don't have on snow pants or any of that stuff. But watching them as a kid, as them being children, enjoying the moment, enjoying that time that they have together, waiting for what they know is going to come because they prepared themselves to go where they need to go. And so while they're waiting, they're enjoying each other's company, laughing, conversating, playing with items around them. And it got me to thinking, as adults, how much do we do that as adults? How much are we prepared and we're waiting on the results of our preparedness? And while we're waiting, enjoying the people that surround us who's worked equally as hard as we have to achieve what they're going to achieve, and really just being present, being able to enjoy each other for what you bring, being able to see the weightiness of each other's conversation, and it does not diminish what you said or what you bring, and it does not make what they say more weightier, more wiser, or more important, that everyone is equal, everyone is contributing, but you still had to do your own individual work. You still had to show up. Even if they don't show up, I still got somewhere I need to go. I still have things that I need to do. I think that as we grow and achieve and increase in these areas, I see that plug, that we'll begin to see ourselves in such a bigger light, so greater a light, that we'll begin to achieve more as a community, as a people, more so than trying to do things individually. So that's just my little thought for you this week, for the end of this week. You know, how you gonna show up for you tomorrow with all of the excuses that you can come up with? How are you gonna show up for you on Sunday? How are you gonna show up for you come Monday before Increase shows up at 1 p.m. Monday afternoon? How are you gonna show up then for yourself? That's an important question to ask that truly needs to be explored on an individual level now. You got to begin to ask yourself that question. Look yourself in the mirror and begin to answer that yourself. Why are you doing that? I just want to say thank you. As I am closing this out, I want to share with you, I'm literally, trying to think of different concepts and ways to bring value and content unto everyone who watches, how we could get better cameras or microphones so that you can hear me clear and crisp, everything to a greater level, because I want to present to you my best self, my best content, that you can then share that content and share yourself with so many others. So I thank you for your time. And I thank you for just being present with me. And we're going to see each other again on Monday, right here at 1 p.m. Thank you guys so much. You guys have a fabulous weekend and an amazing day.